What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you're new to the channel, I am Gold Pony. I do new car, truck, SUV reviews on YouTube, and today we are in the brand new Tesla Model X, courtesy of Younger Toyota in Hagerstown, Maryland. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So they apparently got this one in on trade, and I saw it, and I've never driven the X before, so I had to do it. This thing's only got 2,000 miles or so on it. So if you're interested, check out Younger Toyota. But I am in this one today because this is the most powerful SUV money can buy right now. You got the yoke steering wheel, which I'm still getting used to, I'm gonna be honest there. You got Falcon Wing doors, and again, I haven't reviewed this one yet. So ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, all that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. So there's essentially two different configurations. You got the base Model X starting at $86,630, and then you got the Plaid being the one we are in today. That one's going to start at $101,630. So as you can imagine, with those two different configurations, there's actually two different power plants. You're either going to get 2 or 3 electric motors. And so for the base configuration, that puts out 532 horsepower, 713 pound-feet of torque. Power is going to be sent to all 4 wheels. The 0 to 60 time for that configuration, 3.8 seconds. Quarter mile, if you're interested, 11.7 seconds there. And then the range is going to come in at 329 miles, which is plenty impressive there. But that's not the one that we have today. We, of course, have the Plaid, and this one is powered by 3 electric motors, 1 in the front, 2 in the back. That puts out 1,020 horsepower, 1,050 pound-feet of torque. The 0 to 60 comes in at 2.5 seconds. Quarter mile time, 9.9 seconds. This isn't even a 10-second car. This is a 9-second car, which is bonkers. Top speed, if you're interested, 163 miles per hour. Range for this one, with the 20-inch wheels, it comes in at 314 miles. However, with the 22-inch turbine wheels, which is the ones we have today, that goes for $5,500, by the way, that puts it down to 300 miles, which is still respectable. So now, before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in our Model X, I did want to mention to you guys the drive modes, and of course, all of that is adjusted through this massive infotainment screen up front here, adjusting things like the steering sensitivity and the throttle response. So now, having got all of that out of the way, I'm actually going to go ahead and put it in heavy steering feel here. Already got the best acceleration turned on here, and let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the X Plaid here to the test, and let's see how quickly we can get this one here up to speed. All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1. Go. Oh my God! I can't. Ah! I can't. That was, wow, stupid. That was stupid, man. That was, wow. You can't handle that. You don't need that much power for the road. Oh man, I have never felt something like that in the pit of my stomach in my life. This is officially the fastest car I've ever driven. This beats the Audi R8 V10 Plus. This thing is stupid, man. Whew. My goodness, that was nuts. I love it. I'm gonna have to do that again later. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 14-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 14.4-inch solid rear discs. You do have the 1 pedal drive as well. Always like to mention that, because not all electric vehicles will actually give you that 1 pedal drive, believe it or not. So as far as braking feel goes, again, with the 1 pedal drive, you just have to let off the gas. It's essentially going to bring you to a stop. But braking feel's been perfectly fine in my short little test drive here today. I'm going to go a little slower because of the cop car here. Speaking of brake pedals, by the way, I figured I'd mention this now. When I first got in this one, to actually close the driver's door, you don't actually pull on anything. You just press the brake pedal and it automatically closes for you. So here's to close the doors. I'm just gonna put my foot on the brake. So that was pretty wild. I loved that. But then touching on suspension and handling, up front you're going to get a double wishbone type front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension, front and rear auto leveling suspension, and you got the adaptive air suspension as well, which, by the way, it is adaptive, so it's going to automatically adjust for you, but you can manually adjust it actually as well to adjust the ride height manually if you know you're going to go on some back roads or some rocky terrain or like rock gravel driveway. I don't know, something like that. You get the point. As far as ride quality goes in my short little test drive here today, perhaps it's because we got the 22-inch turbine wheels, but I do feel like you feel a little bit more of the road in this particular configuration, at least that we have today. Perhaps the 20-inch wheels will be a little better in terms of ride quality, but it's okay. It's pretty much as I would expect a ridiculous performance SUV to kind of ride like. But as far as steering feel goes, it's brilliant. And again, you can adjust it. It says steering weight, light, standard, or heavy. So it is going to adjust dependent upon whatever setting that you put it in. I'm leaving it in heavy because I always love a heavy steering feel, especially in a Tesla. They do a wonderful job with that. And touching on cabin noise, we're going 55 miles per hour right now. This is the perfect test. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. I'll be quiet for a few seconds here. It's pretty darn good. And typically electric vehicles do a pretty darn good job with their cabin noise. It's acoustic laminated glass, of course, all the way around. By the way, speaking of acoustic laminated glass, look how far back this windshield goes, man. This is definitely the longest windshield in history. I'm not even joking. That is completely nuts. I love it. Then touching on rear visibility, honestly, I can see perfectly fine out the back. You do have that little rear spoiler in the back, but this doesn't impede visibility for me. Touching on forward visibility, rain sensing windshield wipers do come standard. You got that full self-driving available for $8,000 if you wanted to go with that. And the other thing is there's no stalk for the turn signals, so I figured I'd mention that now as well. There's actually arrows found on the left side of the steering wheel. You press that to the right or to the left, and that's going to be your turn signal indicators, which I kind of like. That's pretty darn convenient, so well done Tesla for that. But at this point, go ahead and hit the subscribe and the like button if you haven't already, and let's go ahead and check out the exterior of our brand new Tesla Model X. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new Tesla Model X, finished in deep blue metallic, in case you were curious of our exact exterior color name that we have with us here in this one. But as always, let's go ahead and start with where the Model X is made, taking a look at the VIN. First character is the number 7, indicating that the Model X is built and assembled here in the US, as it should be. But in case anybody is curious, I wanted to mention this before I forget to say it. You do get an 8-year or 150,000 mile warranty on the battery and the drive unit, in case anybody was curious about that. But starting up front, drag coefficient, I wanted to mention this first. It's 0.24, which is actually the lowest of any production SUV in existence right now. So that is pretty stinking cool. To the sides, LED headlights with LED daytime running lights. You get the automatic feature with those. You also get automatic high beams, of course. So if you have your high beams on at night, since the vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams. Then when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up to high beams for you there. So definitely a very cool look up front. Now I will say I like the redesign of the Tesla Model Y. I'm curious when they're going to redesign the X, but either way, still looks good in my opinion. But let's now go ahead and make our way to the side. All right, and so now since we are around to the side of this one, first thing I want to mention, you have some gloss black flush door handles, and they are pretty stinking cool. We'll get more into that later, but like I said, actually, you press the brake to close the front door once you sit in it. That is pretty cool. And of course, you have falcon wing rear doors. They're not gull wing rear doors. They are falcon wing, according to Elon. So that is pretty cool as well. And by the way, I'm an even 6 feet tall. I was easily able to walk underneath of these doors without having to duck or anything like that. So they are pretty nice. And you just press a button once you're inside of this thing to actually close those falcon wing doors. So very convenient. But taking a look at the wheels real quick, 20-inch Cyberstream wheels, they do come standard. However, 22-inch turbine wheels are available. That's what we have with us here today. They go for $5,500 and they look pretty darn good. You do get some performance brake pads with red calipers for the plaid trim level that we have with us here today as well, so I didn't want to forget to mention that. And there's little indents, there's gloss black indents in the front fenders. That's for yet another camera system, in case you're curious about that. But that pretty much rounds out the side profile. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, and so now since we are around to the back of the X here, aerodynamically efficient rear spoiler. That's the first thing I want to mention. That is pretty cool. Do have LED taillights back there. You got the Tesla lettering spelled out horizontally, of course. In case anybody is curious about this random badge back here, it actually doesn't say anything and is kind of confusing at first, unless you know. What that is the badging for the plaid trim level. So that is supposed to represent plaid, in case you were curious. But anyways, usually doing an exhaust clip right now, but obviously this is an EV, so let's go ahead and make our way to the interior. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the X here, when it comes to opening that rear lift gate, there is a rubberized button on the lift gate itself. That is the easiest way. When you're sitting down in the driver's seat, you can do all this stuff from the infotainment screen, basically, so that's another way. But once opened up, behind that third row, we'll get more into that in a second, you get 15 cubic feet. Behind the second row, with that third row folded down,
37.1 cubic feet, and then with all rows folded, 91.6 cubic feet. That's impressive. Anyways, let me touch on the seating configuration right now. So a 5-seat configuration comes standard, meaning just a bench seat in the second row and there's no third row. However, you can get a 6-seat configuration, which is what we have today. That goes for $6,500. That's an option. And then there's a 7-seat configuration for $3,500. That is yet another option. But you do have some LED cargo lighting in the back there. There is an elastic strap, of course, to hold things in place back there. And then if you were to lift up underneath of that cargo floor, you actually will find a decent amount of in-floor storage, more than likely to store the charging cables, of course. But then making our way up to the third row legroom, that is going to come in at 32.2 inches. For reference, I'll give this a shot. I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the back there. Of course, you got some rear cup holders back there as well, just in between the two rear seats. But then making our way up to the second row legroom, that comes in at 38.7 inches. For reference, I'm still an even 6 feet tall, believe it or not. This is how much space I had in the second row. Coolest thing about the second row though, because of the way the doors are set up, is each second row passenger, they have their own personal moonroof, I guess you could say. So I thought that was pretty cool. Of course, they got cup holders back there as well. And they also have their own 8-inch screen back there where they can adjust climate control settings and whatnot. So that was pretty cool. Then make our way up to the front seats. As far as the finish goes, it's going to be finished in a synthetic leather, which is softer and more durable than a regular leather, in case you didn't know. Power adjustable front seats do come standard. They're heated and ventilated, and in my short test drive here today, they were definitely plenty comfortable, certainly held me in place very well when I did that acceleration test. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the steering wheel. So there's two different steering wheels. You have the traditional steering wheel, and then you have the yoke steering wheel, which is what we have with us here today. That's what you guys are looking at. And I gotta be honest, I'm still not sure if I'm used to it. It was definitely interesting trying to make sharp turns with this thing. I kept wanting to grab for something that wasn't there. In a traditional steering wheel, it would be there, obviously. So it's probably something that you get used to. If you have a yoke steering wheel on your Tesla, put it in the comment section below, because I've only driven this thing for like 15 or 20 minutes so far. So let me know what you think if you have this particular steering wheel on your Tesla, because it is definitely something I think you would have to get used to, because it is weird not having certain parts of the steering wheel there. That's all I'm saying. But it is heated, by the way. It is also heated, so that was definitely nice. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key card, of course, since this is a Tesla. But you just simply put the key on the door to go ahead and unlock it, and that's how you're going to go ahead and get inside of this one. And then you just put it kind of just in front of the cup holders up here, just underneath the infotainment screen, I should say. And then you can go ahead and shift into drive through the infotainment screen on the left hand side. You push it forward, or you can push it back for reverse. That is how that's going to work. That's a Tesla thing, in case you were curious about that. But anyways, once started up, this gauge cluster is pretty darn nice. It's a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. Gives you how many miles you have left until you run out of range up there. You got outside temperature, time of the day, and of course it gives you all the other vehicles on the road when you're actually driving, which is a wonderful thing. I absolutely love that. So it's really a safety feature in itself. And I'll get more into safety at the end of the video, because the X crushes it in safety. So we'll get to that in a second. But let's now go ahead and touch on overall interior quality here. Again, with the panoramic windshield, this is the largest windshield in history. It has ultraviolet and infrared protection on all the glass as well, which is pretty cool. You get tri-zone climate control, so driver, passenger, and rear passengers can set their own temperatures. You have an air filtration system. There's a wireless phone charger, but you also get a location aware automatic garage door opener, which I love that. So when you pull up to your house, it already knows you're pulling up to your house, and it's going to automatically open up the garage for you. That's so nice. You have this cool carbon fiber trim, of course, located just in front of the center armrest. I like that as well. A lot of texturized finishes on the doors, and more carbon fiber trim on the doors as well. I like the two-tone theme, and I love the suede or Alcantara finish found on the headliner here as well. The only thing I found was a little bit weird is just the rear view mirror is like the tiniest rear view mirror I think I've ever seen. Maybe it's just the windshield making it look tinier. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like a normal size rear view mirror. But anyways, you do have a little bit of storage up front here, cup holders just behind that within the center armrest. It's actually a decent amount of storage in there. So interior quality is pretty darn good. I definitely don't have any issues with that. But now let's get to the bulk of it here, which is the infotainment screen. It is a 17-inch adjustable touchscreen display. You get Bluetooth and audio streaming. You get factory navigation system as well. You can play games up here. There's a little toy box where it's absolutely nuts. You can do a light show. There's the whoopee cushion thing. There's a boombox. There's the romance fire up here. Let's go ahead and play around with some of this stuff here. There's Mars, of course, with Elon. That makes sense. There's Santa mode. What the heck is that? Spread holiday cheer year round with Santa mode. Jingle all the way, or just say ho ho ho. There is a Tesla as a sleigh on my digital gauges right now. This car is nuts. Okay, so the boombox mode, apparently you can entertain a crowd when parked using your vehicle's speakers. What? There's a megaphone? What is going on with this car, dude? There's also this emissions testing mode. Play a gassy prank on anyone in your car from any seat. Oh, we're definitely turning that on. What the deuce? Fart on turd signal, we're turning that on. Fart on contact, we're turning that on as well. This car is going to be hilarious. There's a sketch pad, that's pretty stinking cool. Anyways, I'm clearly getting off track here. There's also your radio information up there as well. So when it comes to this sound system, it is a 22 speaker sound system with 960 watts. That's absolutely bonkers. Let's go ahead and turn on the radio, see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one.
I just wanna see the light.
That is a crazy sound system, dudes. That is nuts. And that wasn't even the radio. I turned on YouTube. So literally you could do anything on this screen. You could play Netflix, YouTube, whatever. That was bonkers. I love it. I could watch Gold Pony YouTube videos up here. Anyways, last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on that infotainment screen, of course, is when you do put the X in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board. Of course, the panoramic view monitor, there's multiple different angles on the bottom half of the screen there as well, but all of that is going to lead us into safety. And so let me start by saying the Model X is the first SUV to achieve a 5-star safety rating in every category, according to IIHS. So it doesn't get any better than that, but also coming standard, a ton of advanced safety, of course, automatic emergency braking, forward collision warning, blind spot detection, lane departure warning, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, traffic light and stop sign recognition. I can go on and on, pretty much everything you can possibly think of and more. So anyways, overall, when it comes to my final thoughts, fastest car I've ever driven by far. Absolutely insane. Ridiculous sound system. Absolutely insane. Love the tech. Love the Falcon Wing doors. Elon crushed it with this thing. The only room for improvement I can think of is I think it is due for a redesign at this point. The Tesla Model Y had been around for a while, essentially looking like the X. The X still has not had a redesign. It still looks the same from the beginning. I think it's due for a redesign. Not that this looks bad. It's just due for a redesign. That's all I'm saying. The other thing always in the back of my mind is I wish charging times could catch up to gasoline-powered cars. And I'm sure they will at some point. They're not there yet. But I want to be able to charge my car from 0 to, let's say, 80% in less than 5 minutes. That's what I'm looking for with electric cars. But other than that, this thing is brilliant. But let me know what you guys think of the X in the comment section below. That's about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on social media somewhere on the screen if you wanted to see what's coming next on the channel before it gets to YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews. That is what we've been doing here for 11 years now. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Stay gold.